After a week to catch their breath, the Beavs now prep to face another daunting opponent in Arizona. How will the Stout D stand up against one of the conference's best offenses? Coach Anderson joins us just days away from a desert showdown with the Wildcats. Beavers Inside the Huddle starts now.
Everybody be a playmaker. Here we go. Toward the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Beavers!
And welcome into Beavers Inside the Huddle. There it is as Oregon State is in full swing. Pac-12 play. The Beavs are 2-2 as they head on the road this weekend to Arizona. Thank you for being with us, along with Steve Priest. I am Dusty Hara. Coach Gary Anderson will be joining us in a few short minutes to break down Arizona, the bye week, and everything in between. And if you have any questions for him, remember you can use the hashtag BeaversFB, and you can get your questions in every week to Coach Anderson. You may be lucky enough to have your question read to the coach and have the coach answer it right here on the show. Steve, how you doing? How's the bye week?
Oh, it's perfect. I need a little time off to heal up, every week. It's I needed it.
The players need it. I don't think you need it, and especially after Stanford and kind of what that game is, the physical just kind of beatdown that Stanford gives you, and whether what the score is doesn't even matter. You could win the game. You always need that week of recovery. A good time, especially for that defense, to get this respite because they're the backbone of this team right now.
Well, I agree with you. And Coach talked to us last week about the problems they had because they had fewer defensive players than offense. So they're a little bit low there, and it means it's more difficult. They're playing great defense, though. They're third in the league in total defense. You see the stats right there. When you're leading the league in pass defense and third down conversions, that is a big deal. And if the Beavers can just, well, they got to test this week to see if they can lay it there against a great offense.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, with the way that we discussed this last week with you and I and Coach Anderson about the build up to the schedule, the physical put you in a phone booth teams are gone, and now this is Pac-12 play, and you're getting thrown right into it with an Arizona team that's going to try and spread you out and get your guys in space. When you have the numbers, as you were saying, like Oregon State does, thin on numbers, to put up the efforts and the statistics that they are is very impressive.
It is, and the Beavers are built for this kind of football. This is where they're going to be more successful than against those big teams you were just talking about. So I look forward to the rest of the season now. I want to see how good this Beaver defense really is.
Now, the defense, we know how good they are. At the offensive side, it started at the ground floor with the true freshman going into a game against Weber State. It has been a stair-step up every single week, and expectations are starting to get higher for young Seth Collins under center, and that's where we'll move over to the In Focus Mondo Pad because it's collaboration that works. And Steve, you have highlighted a play just showing the development in the progress that Seth Collins has made as the quarterback in Dave Baldwin's scheme.
Well, what I like about him is he's not only reading the offense better from a run standpoint, but he's also reading the pass game much better. You'll watch him as we take a look here. We're going to get a receiver that comes down and out. That's his first look. Same thing on the other side, and it's really a neat little double out on both sides. This wide receiver coming here. Villamine's taking the guy deep. So that's how it breaks down. Now watch what the quarterback does here. He keeps his eye where he's supposed to go, first progression, then look at the great feet, and he extends the play, throws the great play to Storm Woods, who gets an even better jump on a very good middle linebacker, gets down the field all the way, huge gain for the Beavers, keeps a drive going, and ends up with a touchdown. Now,
moving with a purpose for a quarterback. You were a guy who used to run around for your life behind an offensive line. You know what that's like. It's easier said than done to keep your eyes downfield and continue to look for your open guy to come free, especially when you're so used to running and you've had the success that Seth Collins has.
Well, that's the truth. And there's a defined quarterback run like we did when I was in school, and more like Oregon does, where they've got a place to go quickly and they do it quickly. But that was a run that was completely on his ability. It's remarkable, and a guy has very special talent to be able to do that. And I look for that to be a major part of Oregon State's offense. As long as this guy can move like that, nobody's going to be able to stop him at any particular time. He's always going to have a second choice.
Well, there have been bright spots, and there have been kind of some dim spots on the season so far. What's working, what's not working. The development of Seth Collins, obviously one thing that is working, and we started seeing over 20 completions against Stanford in the passing game. He's starting to get over 250 yards in the passing game. What is the biggest thing plaguing the Beavs right now offensively in your mind?
Well, we may differ on this, Dusty, but I think that the heart of Oregon State's offense is a running game. And I think that's where their strength is with these experienced offensive linemen. They got a couple of guys who are nasty and mean on that offensive line, and Ciamalo, and they know what they can do. I think if you run the football, and this is a good check for the Beavers. This is a team that they can run against. And I think they just got to pound the running game, get it going, and then they can pass off the play pass.
I have a feeling for the first time ever our keys to the game won't match up because I'm going they need to throw the ball. We'll preview Arizona coming up later in the show, but next, the head man himself, Gary Anderson, joins the show. This is Beavers Inside the Huddle. And welcome back into Beavers Inside the Huddle. Joining us now live from Corvallis is the head coach for the Oregon State Beavers, Coach Gary Anderson. Coach Anderson, thank you for taking time for us again this week. All right, we got to ask you, what does the head coach of the Beavs do on a Saturday when you don't have a game?
Well, I got to go see my boy play, which was awesome. I flew back to Logan, Utah, and watched him play. He's a freshman there in Utah State, and saw his twin, and got to spend 2 luxurious nights in their apartment. The plan was to stay in a hotel. They made Stacy and myself feel guilty because we wouldn't stay in the spare bedroom, so we stayed in the spare bedroom. Absolutely gigantic mistake on my part. I am not ready to go live in college apartment area again, let's just put it that way. But other than that, it was a great weekend. Thought a lot about where we're at football wise, but it was great to get back and see the boys.
So the answer is, for the Beav fans out there, Coach Anderson on the weekend that he doesn't have a game, still going to football games.
That's right.
We had a couple keys to the bye week that we went over last week, Coach Anderson, and we wanted to ask you a couple of them. We highlighted just a few of them. So, Steve, why don't we start with you? What of your keys do you want to know from Coach?
Well, Coach, I want to talk about number 3, work versus Pac-12 defenses. I'd like to know what we accomplished that week, whether you feel like we had an opportunity to look at the spread offenses we're going to see week after week from now on out.
Yeah, if we sat down and we really evaluated ourselves as a whole as a defense, and I think, Steve, the biggest thing right now is you have to sit back and understand who you are, because you know much better who are your playmakers, who you can trust, and not just on the defensive side of the ball, but we challenge the whole team down those lines to where, and our coaching staff, quite frankly, is where are we, who is going to make those plays, who's going to put us in the positions and get the best kids on the field. We did exactly that. I think Coach Sataki and his staff did a great job of identifying the fronts that we play the best. It does change a little bit now that you're in the spread, and it gives some kids that may not be as developed as you may like them to be, but they have tremendous athletic ability, the opportunity to get on the field and play in a little bit more wide open spaces, because as we all know, once you get into the spread teams in this league, it's about getting athletes in space, and it's a one-on-one situation many times within the tackling scenario that you have to make, and it's an athletic kid that has the ball in his hands, and it needs to be an athletic tackler. So we've tried to improve ourselves there. Our stoutness in the run game was so essential. We have not stopped the run well, and there's no hiding from that fact that teams are going to continually try to pound us and run the ball right at us consistently. So we tweaked some things within the scheme that hopefully will help us. But most importantly, on defense, we went back and said, this is our scheme. We've built a foundation. We can be more aggressive now because the kids have a foundation, and I believe that should help a little bit. But you still have to play with fundamentals and techniques, and we spend a lot of time in individual drills.
Coach, when we threw up our keys to the game, one of the things that I had on there is you got to go out and hit the recruiting trail. The bloodline of any program is recruiting, and over the bye week, we heard a lot of news, and I know you can't talk about specific players, but my question that I wanted to know is, how is Oregon State being received now as opposed to when you were just reaching out to kids early in the process and trying to get your foot in the door back here on the West Coast? And some of those Pac-12 homes?
Well, I think one thing is our recruiting staff, Vince Ginta and his crew, do an unbelievable job of getting out information. And there's some real key things to recruiting, and we're being received very well. We play in a very, very powerful conference. There's many great football teams here. There's many great traditions. We're excited to continually go out there and show that model, first of all, to where we are as a conference, secondly, of where we are as a university. And you sit back and it goes real simple. We identify those young men. We see where they're at. We are going after the elite of the elite. We don't care who's recruiting them. If he has 75 offers from Division I schools, or if he has no offers from Division I schools, if he goes through our process and we like him, we're going to recruit him. We are not afraid to recruit against what may some perceive as the best of the best. It doesn't bother us. We have something that's very great to show these young men, and it's going very well at this point. We have to continue to show exactly what we have. But at the end of the day, recruiting still, after all the letters, all the mail that you send to them, all those little graphics and all the stuff that comes out of it, at the end, recruiting is still a relationship business, and it'll never go away for our staff to let the people in the young man's family, whoever they are, mentors, parents, coaches, the young man himself, understand that we are in it to take care of them off the field first, and then football will take care of itself. But we'll go out and get really good players because it's a very attractable place. And if this is what you want, like I've said, I don't want to sit here and go through a 5-minute recruiting spiel with you, but if this is the environment you want, it's the best of the best, and you will not be taken care of or challenged any harder than you will at Oregon State University. And that's the great part about what we have in recruiting, because as a staff, we all truly believe where we're going. We have a long ways to go. We have to recruit hard, and you are right, it's the lifeline of any football college program is to have great players. When you have great players, you have a chance to do special things.
Leads us right into the Twitter question of the week for Coach Anderson, and it is, how old are the players where you guys start recruiting them? You know, what age do you start getting them from, you know, L on Twitter? And it looks like he's a little guy and he may want to be a Beef by the looks of it. How young do you guys go when you start evaluating talent?
Well, that might have something to do a little bit with mom and dad. So you never know. If there's a bloodline, it can start pretty early. But the truth of the matter is once a kid gets to his junior year, he becomes highly evaluated. You know, prior to that, do you look at those certain kids? Yes, but you have to be very careful, in my opinion. Again, once a young man gets into his junior year, there's still some juniors these days that are 15 years old, 16 years old. There's seniors that are 17 years old as they go through their football season. So kids are so young, they're going to change and develop mentally, emotionally, socially, physically as they go through time. So we have to continually we want to start this process as early as we think we need to start it, not when the perception of when you're supposed to start recruiting certain kids in certain situations. And but typically for us, I would say, you know what, when we're going out there in May, we're going to gather a list. We have some from a sophomore list, we have a junior list, but when we really go out there in May and hit the spring recruiting trail, that's where it's hard and heavy for 2017. Right now we're in the heart of 2016.
He is not recruiting for the year 2022 quite yet, even though they're scheduling games that far in advance. We will discuss Arizona and the matchup between the Beavs and the Wildcats. But first, Coach, you're 2 for 2 in this game so far. It's the dinner party game, and tonight we've got another contestant. Which player on your team chose to go to dinner with Randy Moss, Paula Patton, and Storm Bars Woods? Was it A, Kyle Pecco, B, Jalen Grimble, C, Joshua James, or D, Larry Scott? Randy Moss, Paula Patton, and Storm Bars Woods.
Okay, I'm going to go with just going to be Josh or Larry, and I'm going Larry Scott.
Is he right? We will find out next, plus a preview of Arizona. All right, we asked Coach Anderson before we left which player would want to go to dinner with these 3 living people: Randy Moss, Paula Patton, Storm Bars Woods, Kyle Pecco, Jalen Grimble, Joshua James, or Larry Scott. Coach, you said Larry Scott. Were you right?
You're at a dinner party. Give me the top 3 living people you want there with you.
Randy Moss. Randy Moss.
With a big ball to Moss. He reels it in.
She was in the movie with Denzel Washington.
You want to rob a bank?
Takes whatever it takes, baby.
No, not even Mendez. She's Paula Patton. Paula Patton. That's number 2. Paula Patton, number 2. And then number 3, Storm Woods.
Storm bars Woods.
No, I love Paula Patton.
It's Larry Scott, and Coach, you're now 3 for 3. How did you get that one? Process of elimination. You pared it down to Joshua James and Larry Scott. How did you get? You're starting to freak me out now.
Yeah. Well, Randy Moss for Grimble and Pecco, that's a no. So I'm throwing that one out. That would be, took me down to 2 at that point. And I don't know, a process of elimination. So, hey, I'm 3 for 3. I can't give away my secrets.
Hey, keep it rolling. Keep it on rolling.
Hey, Coach, we were talking about positions and how you move people into that know how to play their positions now, what's expected out of them. I was sad to hear David Henry retired today or this week with a concussion, and you've had so much of that now. You've already moved David Ortiz over and Malik Gilmore, and you're getting even thinner on that defensive side of the ball, particularly at the linebacker position. Any more changes we're looking for now with David gone?
No, there's really not, and there's nowhere else to go right now. You know, where our numbers are so skewed within the offense, and that was one of the things I really studied this last week, and we knew it was a problem when we got here in January as far as the number of offensive players versus the defensive players, at least the way we do it, the way we like to break things up, and we like to project for next season and the seasons moving onward. And, you know, we are where we are. We have what we have, and there is a limited number of linebackers that are there. We have moved some young men around. It was horrible. You know, David's a great kid. It's tough to see that. No one wants to play more than he wants to play, but he made the right decision. The doctors helped him make that decision. We're in full support of that situation for him, but he's going to be highly involved with this football program for a long time. He deserves that. He wants to be, and I'll make sure that he is. So, but you know, it is what it is. So there is no free agency out there, and you go and you get the kids ready to play. And I think that Ricky has had a couple good weeks of practice. Malik has had a couple good weeks of practice with the bye week and this week that we're in right now. So there's going to be times when they're going to have to get out on the field and play, and that's college football. It's opportunities. When somebody knocks on your door, you better open it. And if you want to let them in, you better accept responsibility, and that's exactly what Malik and Ricky have done, and I expect them to play well when they're given the opportunity.
Well, let's move ahead then and take a look at the Arizona Wildcats. You guys head down to the desert this weekend. A great opportunity for those guys to get in and really establish themselves as members of this defense. New Solomon and Nick Wilson are loads. When you take a look at the statistics for this offense, 4th in total yards, 4th in opponent points, rush offense, 2nd in the league, 3rd down conversions, 43% of the time. What is the key as you guys transition into these spread attacks when you have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback and the running back position in Solomon and Wilson?
Well, quickly in a nutshell, we could talk about this for a long time, but in the end of the day, spread offenses are built around a quarterback that can make plays and a running back that can do special things. Arizona wants to run the ball effectively. They do a great job with that. They've done that for a number of years. That's why they've played and competed for championships. On the flip side of that, they do a tremendous job of getting their playmakers at the wide receiver position in space. Their wide receivers, in my opinion, are highly underrated. A lot more people should be talking about them. So in the spread offense, you have to tackle well, you have to stay sound, you have to understand there's going to be some give and some take, and you've got to get yourself in position to 3rd down situations need to be in your favor if you're going to have a chance to win the football game.
All right, Coach Gary Anderson and the Beavs head down to Tucson, Arizona, the desert. The Arizona Wildcats are next up on the slate. Coach, thank you for taking the time. Travel safe and good luck this week. All right, coming up next, it is our Northwest Honda keys of the game. Before we send you off, it's Beavers Inside the Huddle. We're back here in the Flat Tail Brewing Beavers Inside the Huddle studio. The hashtag Ducks FB show, that is not going to be in the Flat Tail Brewing Inside the Huddle studio. But hashtag Beavers football might be. Saturday, you got college game day, or CSN game day, 9 a.m. And then Monday, Talkin' Ball, recapping all of the action. But Steve, it's time to unveil our Honda, Northwest Honda dealer, keys of the game. What do you got this week for us, my man?
Well, I'm gonna. Looks like you get to do it.
Mine. I get. See, this is the problem. I get the first billing on the keys of the game. Yours are more important. All right, mine is let it rip with Seth Collins. Get it going through the air. You got to throw the football. Control the tempo on defense. Third down stops are going to be huge, and then third, play all 60 minutes. It sounds really simple, but Pac-12 competition, you got to finish games.
Well, we're close on a couple of those. We're absolutely dead on. But, you know, I start out, I don't go along with throwing the football. I still think this is, as you know, a run game, control the run, and I think the Beavs are built to control the run. I think on defense, they just simply have to stop first down. If you stop the first down, you force them in to tough third downs. On the rush offense, I want to see 250 yards against this 3-3-5 defense. I don't think Arizona can play it without Scooby Wright, and that's the way the Beavers win. And the third one is exactly like yours. Let's play a full game.
We couldn't have been more opposite on the other two, but number three, we come down to your stop first down, mine stop third down. You want to run it, I want to throw it. If the Beavs can put it together, we forgot to mention this in the show. Arizona, 12th in the conference in total defense.
They are, and there are plenty of opportunities, run or pass, to do some things with this. And I'm looking for Oregon State to have that big game we've been waiting for on offense.